Well, if you're still here on episode 3, you must really be liking the stories we're telling. And boy, until we have some stories for you today, don't we, Gracie?
We do, we do.
But before we jump into that, let me tell you some pretty cool news. So,
You gonna tell
yeah,
them? Okay.
we all know that after the last episode, I mentioned that we had come to Madison Vines RV Resort and Cottages for me to work camp at the front desk and do some events and activities. Well, after just a couple of weeks, ya boy was offered the management position. So I am now the manager of Madison Vines RV Resort and Cottages.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Have the sound effects.
Yeah. All right. So, Gracie, why don't you tell the listeners what we're going to be talking about today?
So, um, as we mentioned in our second episode, we want to tell you guys a little bit more about our love of travel. It didn't just start randomly with the RV and traveling. We have actually taken an annual, that's what we called it. It was our annual vacation trip together since well, it was the year after we
Our
started
one year
dating.
anniversary. Yep.
Exactly.
And we did that through 2022. We traveled to a different state
Yeah.
every year, pretty much for our dating anniversary or wedding anniversary. The reason we stopped in 2023 is because obviously we moved into the RV, and in 2024 we hit everywhere we told you about last episode. And if you haven't listened to that episode, you should probably go check it out.
Yeah.
So, Gracie, you want to tell them about the 1 year anniversary?
Sure. This one honestly is pretty ingrained, especially at the start of it. So we had been dating for obviously a year, and we had been on a couple of trips before this that were more secretive.
Wah, wah, wah. Never to another state. I don't want anybody to feel like I kidnapped her.
No, yeah, but
And I
well,
didn't kidnap her in state either. I just want to clarify that.
yeah. I mean, this one was still in state. We went to North Carolina. We were stayed in North Carolina.
True.
So we went to Beach Mountain, North Carolina. Obviously, it's in the mountains. Um, there was one specific thing. Let me rephrase that. There was two specific things that we were going for. Now, I will say that as much fun as I had on this trip, if you don't know the pattern yet, Tyler is the planner in the family, and he completely planned this trip. Very much so. I literally had pretty much nothing to do with this trip.
And let me tell you, I don't know if you know this, but so one of the things that I really wanted to do for Gracie was the Wizard of Oz land in Beach Mountain. She's big into the musicals and the classics. I knew she liked Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And secretly, I wanted to steal a piece of the Yellow Brick Road to give to her, which she still got to this day.
I stole it. I'm the one who took it.
Yeah.
They told us don't take the road. People take the road, and I still took a piece of it.
Yeah. So, oh my God, this was a mess. Okay. So this place like sells out within the first 2 or 3 hours.
It's closed officially down now, isn't it?
I think so. But it used to only be open for like 3 weeks, maybe the whole month of June. And if you know, I can't remember if we mentioned this. We started dating on June 13th of 2015. Oh, we did mention that because that's your dad's birthday.
Yeah.
But so I really wanted to take her to this. The website crashed. I was at work, sitting at my desk, refreshing it, refreshing it, refreshing it. Could not get the tickets. Didn't get the tickets. I went through the whole process of buying the tickets, got to the payment part, hit pay, put in all my information, and the website said error 404. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. By the time I went back in there to purchase more tickets, they were sold out. So oh yeah, you do know this because we had to meet that lady at that sketchy, not sketchy, but the gas station that was made out of wood, like an old general store. We met her to get the tickets because I found her in a Facebook group for this specific place, and she had accidentally bought four, so I bought the other two. So we wound up getting to go to Beach Mountain, and it was really cool going to the Wizard of Oz land because we had to take a ski lift up.
That was really cool. Never been on that. Won't ski, but love that. And we stayed on a sky deck. The views are beautiful. Honestly, as much as I love the Wizard of Oz land, and it was so unique, and we got to experience
Yeah.
it, we have kind of drifted into the nature, scenic type of people. And that was one of my favorite things that we did,
Yeah.
honestly. And it was what, a 5 minute
Yeah.
little thing. Like
Exactly.
it was so fun though.
And then one thing that I really want to do for Gracie, actually, I think I've said that about both of these things, but that's okay. Um, I wanted to take her to a place that I had so many childhood memories with Mama, Grandy, Justin, Mom, and Ben. Um, and that was Tweety Railroad. Now, I know it's kind of more for the kids, especially the weekend we went, because the weekend we went was
I was about to say Thomas the Train.
Thomas the Train weekend. So many kids,
Yeah.
so many kids. And we walked around, checked things out. I showed her stuff and talked about memories. And I think it was a good time. Just kind of helped us bond.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
you
it was
get to,
sweet.
yeah, you got to know me and a piece of my childhood that means a lot to me. So,
Yeah, I agree. And then there's a little petting zoo there.
mm,
And it was so cute because a little goat got out. We could pet all of them, right? But a little goat got out. And Tyler actually, like, we got a picture of Tyler with the escaped goat. It was so cute. Um, but so that was our 2016 trip, and it was so fun. First trip, good to go. So rolling into 2017, this was one of our I like to call this one our high class trip because we did a
yes. Oh
lot
my gosh.
in this trip. I feel like I helped with this one more. You did a lot with it,
Yeah.
but I helped a little bit on the planning side. Like it wasn't all like a surprise to
Right,
me.
right.
So in 2017, we went to Atlanta, Georgia. So this was our first out of state trip together. Obviously, while in Atlanta, North Carolina does not have an MLB team. And if you don't know anything about Tyler and his family, they are very big baseball out of fans.
Yeah. And my brother Justin is a huge Atlanta Braves fan
Yeah.
too. So and I mean like I don't hate the Braves. I would say they're my like favorite NL team. Red Sox are always number one for me. But Braves are
Me
definitely
too.
number two. I know.
Keep it up with
That's
you,
right.
baby.
That's my baby. Fist bump.
Got you. But yeah, we actually went to a Braves game. So fun.
Oh my gosh. And the tickets were $10 and we sat in the Coke corner. Remember that?
Oh
And
yeah.
we got a free Coke while we were there because we were sitting in the Coke corner.
I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
we got two free drinks, and that alone was worth the $10. I
True.
mean, think about it, like, and they were like extra larges,
Yeah.
and those at a freaking baseball game cost $10.
Yeah. That actually, that game is where my favorite one of my favorite pictures of us comes from because we had gotten shirts that had the Braves on it, and then it said together since,
Yeah,
and then it had 20 and then 15 on
right.
it.
One of like, I think it was one of ours said together, and then
20.
under it said it was like number 20. The other one was since, and then 15.
Yeah. So those were our jerseys we wore there.
I remember hearing like this girl make a snarky comment about us wearing them, and she was like, 2015. I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
well, fuck you if you're that girl.
yeah,
Okay. We're still together.
yeah,
Anyway, so the Braves game was super fun. That was my first professional baseball game because my family is more into soccer.
mhm,
So as we've kind of told you about
yeah,
before. Then we moved on to which I thought was really, really cool. We did a CNN tour. So
yeah,
we were able to tour the entire building, which was really interesting. I'm sorry if you hear that. That's our dog Rocky. He's our little pitty. He I don't know what he's doing.
he
He
drank too
drank too
much
much
water.
water. Yeah, so the CNN tour was if you're ever in Atlanta and you just have some like touristy things you want to do, CNN tour really cool. And I'll let Tyler tell you about our last two things. The next one is probably my favorite from the
Yes.
entire time.
We toured the Coke factory, which if you're ever in Atlanta, Georgia, that is the number one thing to do.
100%.
But it was so cool. Like you got to see the history of Coca-Cola, and you got to see some of the like one of my favorite parts was I got to see the Boston Red Sox rings, World Series rings, because they were the
Yes.
sponsor for they're like a big sponsor for the Red Sox, and So that was really cool, and like just a bunch of stuff like that, like old ads. But I think the coolest part for me was the Cokes from around the world. Like they had all these different flavored Cokes.
Let me tell you, if you haven't been to it yet, it reminded me of a drink version of Willy Wonka,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
I
it was
mean,
the coolest thing.
honestly, it kind of reminded me of like the that floor with all the drink fountains. Kind of reminded me of the build your own pixie stick kind of things that they used to have. It was like the you could get the plastic tube, you put it underneath
I never
the
did
thing.
that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I never did it either, but I'm just saying like they had those at the
Oh,
candy stores.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember the nasty drink they all warned us about?
Oh gosh, yes.
Do you remember what it's called?
No.
The Beverly.
Oh yeah, the Beverly. It tasted like bitter
Say it.
club soda.
Yeah, like with a hint of like I thought it was like soapy-ish a little bit.
Yeah.
It was real freaking gross.
Yeah.
Now they do tell you,
Yeah, they
like
give you a heads up
they give you a heads up, but they're like, you just need to try it. Like obviously it's just
for the
for the
experience.
experience. You gotta try it. And then our last thing that we did,
Was we actually went to the Atlanta Zoo and the Atlanta Aquarium.
mhm,
Atlanta Zoo was a lot of walking, but
it was so fun.
it was super fun. Like that is a very good zoo. Um, that was where we heard the people that got pissed off because the one of the animals weren't coming out of their habitat. And I'm like, you try being caged up in a show, like whatever.
If you didn't know, I learned this because we've been to a couple of zoos on our little RV trip last year. And oh my God, last year,
I
it's
know, that's
2025.
crazy.
But I did learn, we looked at this together, that a lot of like your big time things, your bears, your lions, like things like that that you really want to see, don't come out in the middle of the day. They are the least active in the middle of the day, which
Because
is
they hunt at night.
because they hunt at night. So, duh, like they're not going to do anything while you're there. They are trying to sleep.
Yeah. The aquarium, I really want to go back
I do
because
too.
they were doing a lot of construction
Yeah.
there. And they had a lot of exhibits closed because of it.
Yeah.
So I really want to go back. I mean, like the kinds of exhibits they had were really cool, but we didn't get to see
It's like
them.
the largest in North, or it's the largest somewhere in our at like around
Yeah,
here.
I think it's the largest in maybe the Southeast or the United States.
I can't remember which one
Yeah.
it is, but it's supposed to be phenomenal and I definitely want to go back. And then that leads us into 2018. 2018 we went to Tyler's heart homeland, Boston.
I almost went to school there.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I applied for Boston College. I got into Boston College.
I could see you
Um
going there.
and really considered it, but ultimately decided on Methodist University and
And then lasted
stayed there
there.
for a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to go to Boston.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I actually just told you this story the other sidetrack, but I got to tell this story on the podcast. Shout out to Justin, my brother. So I went originally committed to Methodist with like a massive, fully paid scholarship, and I got there for move-in day. My mom, Ben, my stepdad, and my brother Justin, I think Mama and Grandy were there too, had stayed in a hotel room. And I was sitting there and I opened my Bible, and I read I can't remember the exact verse, but it was about trusting your brother and listening to your brother. As soon as I closed my Bible, Justin texts me and says, "Come home. We miss you." Or he said, "Don't stay. We miss you." And and it was like one of those moments. It's just like everything lined up, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't need to be here." So anyway, back to my homeland,
It works.
not Poland.
Yeah, Boston, Massachusetts. So that was our 2018 trip. Now a couple of these next trips we're gonna list out, they kind of just worked out with things that were already going on in our life. We planned
Right.
ahead. So one of my roommates from college, Megan, she was actually getting married. And she lives in Massachusetts. So we decided to make that our trip. That was going to be my second professional MLB game, which was for Boston Red Sox.
Woo woo.
When I tell you Tyler was like a little kid in a candy store. We walked around the entire stadium. I wish, to be honest, we had a more disposable income at that point, so that we could potentially get him like an actual, next time we go, we will do this, but
I'm
get him
so
an actual
happy.
jersey.
But I'm so happy with what I got.
I know, it's really cool.
It
He
is.
got it. Do y'all know? Okay, for real, this is what I thought about when he got this. In Pirates of the Caribbean,
Mm,
when Jack Sparrow, he puts the heart of Davy Jones in that jar of dirt, and he's like, I've got a jar of dirt. That's what I thought Tyler was doing when he got his jar of dirt.
I mean, I kind of did do that. Yeah, I got a jar of game used dirt at home plate, so professional players stepped in it. And the cool thing is, like, it had a little QR code on the bottom, and you could scan it, and it
Mhm.
tells you what the game, like, what game it's from. So,
Yeah.
and it was like, it turned out to be like the one of the it was actually the year Tampa Bay went to the World Series. It was game 3 of the ALCS, I think it was, when Boston lost to Tampa Bay. So that was, I mean, kind of sucked, but it was kind of cool that it was a playoff game too. So, and like Gracie was saying, like I think another thing that kind of took away from what we could experience there was like we had to kind of plan it around a wedding. And I mean, like the wedding was beautiful, gorgeous, except they asked me to say the Catholic what is that thing called?
I You're asking the
They
wrong
asked me to
person.
say something for the Catholic Church, and I had no idea. I'm Methodist or grew up Methodist, and you know that's not Catholic. But whenever we finally got to Boston, though,
I was sorry, I was being quiet for a second. I was actually trying to figure out how far away we were from Fenway. We're
oh
still really far. It's fine.
yeah, yeah.
Not close at all. Go ahead.
But yeah, one of the whenever we finally got to Boston, we checked out the Prudential Tower, which is actually really cool. You can go all the way up. Like it was, I could see the whole Fenway Park and pretty much all of Boston. It was really, really cool.
It was. It was very, very cool. I'm glad we did that. We did that one with
No, that was the monument that we went to with
Cassie and
Cassie and
Colin.
Colin. Yeah, we went to the monument because we tried to climb it and ran out of breath and we had to come down.
It was hard though. It was like 20 plus flights of stairs. It was a lot. It may have been more than that to be honest.
Yeah, I probably still couldn't do it.
And then yes, you could. Tuna sandwich, baby. Remember? And that leads us into 2019. Now, as I said, we planned these out a little bit more. So 2019, my other roommate, who we just mentioned, Cassie, she was getting married in 2019. So,
Of
Cat
all places, where was she getting married?
Florida, because
I
that's where
hate
she's
that place.
from.
Hate that place.
Tyler has a distinct distaste for Florida.
Not necessarily Florida, but Floridian drivers,
Yeah, I think you should give
especially
him another
Jacksonville. Hate
chance.
Jacksonville.
I think you should give him another chance.
Go Jaguars. Love you, Trevor Lawrence. I'm not a Jaguars fan, but
I don't
just trying
know.
to make peace with the city of Jacksonville.
Oh my God. Okay. So the way that the wedding, we honestly did not do a lot in Florida. Our next Florida trip will be specifically Disney and Harry Potter.
Actually, I did drive to the Tampa Bay Stadium, the Tampa Bay Rays Stadium, while you were like
Getting ready and doing
doing
rehearsal
something.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
Yeah.
drove to the Tampa Bay Rays
Tyler
Stadium.
did a lot of like alone
Sightseeing.
time because I was getting stuff done for the wedding with Cassie.
Let
So,
me tell you, that stadium is just as shitty as they say.
oh, that sucks.
It looks bad.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Um, and then he stayed like this. Let me tell you something. The hotel we stayed at, terrible.
Oh,
It broke my face out. That was awful. It gave me like a rash. It wasn't even just break. It gave me a rash.
they had one pillow on the bed,
Yeah, I
on a
remember that.
king size bed.
I do remember that. And it smelled weird.
Oh gosh, and they told me it was the cleaning stuff, and I'm like, if that's what your cleaning stuff smells like, I can't. I'd hate to see what you cleaned.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it was all worth it. We went to the wedding. It was gorgeous. She had a beautiful ceremony.
Mhm.
Everything was just, I mean, just drop dead gorgeous
Yeah.
there. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I said, this Florida trip, doesn't really encompass what we want for Florida. We are gonna go back and do like an entire Disney and Harry Potter trip.
Yeah.
And shout out, first of all, to my best friend, Emily. She has listened to all of our podcasts so far. She likes to comment on what she doesn't like about them, which is super funny. But
Well,
eventually we'll be going to Disney with her and
wow, leave me out of it.
with her daughter, Olivia. Um
Row,
whenever
row.
yeah, Roro, whenever we can all afford it, we'll be going and doing that too. Which leads us into 2020.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about the wedding because and rehash those bad memories from episode one. We are just going to jump into the fun part, the honeymoon.
Woohoo!
We mentioned it I think we mentioned this in the first episode. We got into the car and we actually went to the gas station. Remember?
Before we got into the car, do you like our wedding was supposed to end 2 hours after
Oh yeah, we
the
were done.
point of us leaving? Like we looked at each other like ready to go. Yes. Wonderful. And we left 2 hours earlier than we were
Yeah.
supposed to.
So we got to the gas station and we were sitting there and we looked at each other and we're like, wow, we're married.
Yeah.
And then so we went up and stayed in right outside of Charlotte for a night because we didn't want to drive all the way to uh Sevierville area. But yeah, it was really fun. I have been to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Sevierville, all that whenever I was a kid. I don't think you had ever been, right?
No. I've never been to Tennessee other than that. Well, now I have, but
Right,
like
right.
other than that.
Yeah, so it was really really fun. I loved it so much. Just like I did when I was a kid. One of the fun things that I taught Gracie was that if you go to a tourist destination like that area and go to the Walmart, they've got a bunch of coupons for local
Oh,
stuff on the
a
walls.
whole freaking wall of just booklet coupons. And
Yeah.
we grabbed everything we were interested in.
Yep.
And then when we got to the Airbnb, that was one of the first things that we had done after we settled in. I
Yep.
just started looking through all of them with you, and like we were like, yep, let's do this one. Yep, let's do this one.
It actually wasn't an Airbnb, it was a hotel on the side of the mountain.
The cabin? It was a cabin.
Oh, I'm thinking of Beach Mountain. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. And Gracie's phone got us lost a couple times.
My phone took us into the woods behind where we were staying without any way to get through the woods. So we pretty much went around our elbow. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was terrible. But to get into the fun stuff, we have obviously, if you haven't been to Tennessee, they are known for their moonshine.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Old Smoky moonshine is what people really know them for.
Yep.
And so we did a moonshine tasting, obviously had to do that. And I mean, I'm pretty big into like wine if I'm in the mood. So we did a wine tasting as well, which we actually brought that bottle of wine. We bought the bottle, bought two glasses, and then in 2021, we opened up that bottle for the first time and we froze our top layer of our cake and we had our cake and our wine.
It was a blackberry wine and
it was so
really
freaking good. Oh my God,
Yeah.
so good. When we go back to Tennessee eventually, without it being so cold
Yeah.
like it was this past time,
Yeah.
I want to go back there and get another one.
Yes, 100%. One place that I went to a lot as a kid with Mama, Grandy, Justin, Mom, and Ben was Dollywood.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to take Gracie because I knew she would love it. We're both adrenaline junkies. We had been to Carowinds with her aunt Michelle and cousins Eli and Jed. And it was so Dollywood had tons of like fun roller coasters that I remembered as a kid and even some more. So we went on those and had a lot of fun. It was during COVID, so we had to wear a mask, which really was kind of annoying, but I mean, it is what it is. And then so after Dollywood, we wound up going indoor skydiving. I think that was one of the coupons we had.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, I had a baseball accident a couple years ago and hurt my shoulder.
Baseball accident quotation.
Ran into a kid on the t-ball team that I was racing around the bases backwards. But anyway, and I really messed up my shoulder. So This one kind of sucked for me because it hurt.
There was also a weight limit, and let me just tell you something. If you're not like a twig in the nicest way ever, but if you're not like a real thin person or a kid, that's really just a waste of your money. It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, it was fun because we
Yeah.
got to do it, but like, if you've got any meat to you, it's really not.
I mean, I got pretty high up there
You did, you
because
did.
I thought whenever I got to because I almost got to the top and I was afraid they were
We
going to
didn't
turn it
almost
off.
get to the top.
Well, about
It may have felt like you
three
almost got.
quarters of the way up. 3/4 of the way up. That's close. But I was really terrified that because like the simulation was on the time, so like I was afraid that the air was going to cut off while I was up there, and like I was going to fall flat on the ground.
Yeah, that was super fun. Um, One of the things Tyler wants to not talk about is we did a couple. I'm gonna go through them real quick. We did a couple of things that were just there for touristy reasons. Alcatraz Museum and the old timey photos that they have all up and down Pigeon Forge Strip.
Yeah.
We did both of those, which was super fun. And honestly, some of my favorite pictures came from those old timey photos.
Yeah, I love those pictures.
I would absolutely love to do them if they could involve pets.
Ooh,
Would that
yeah,
have fun?
yeah, that'd be fun.
And then we also, if you're in Tennessee, you need to go to Hatfields and McCoy's.
Yeah,
Whatever show you're gonna go to one. They're amazing there.
yeah.
And then one of our other, I think this was probably the scariest thing I've ever done, to be honest, is Tennessee is full of mountains.
Yeah.
And we went horseback riding.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been on a horse. Just fun fact, never in my life. Tyler has.
Yeah.
Tyler's ex-stepmom.
Yeah.
Actually owns horses.
Yeah.
And so he's been on them quite a few times at least.
Oh yeah.
Well, when they do this when you go horseback riding, a lot of the times, especially if you're new, you line up in a line.
Right.
And the horses follow each other.
Right.
Well, my damn horse was being irritable, and this damn bitch almost dropped us both down the side of the mountain. And I'm not kidding. I looked at her hooves. They were on the side of the mountain. And the director, what leader, whatever,
Trainer.
the trainer, person who was leading the entire thing, she was telling me to like kick with my foot on the side to make sure she wasn't staying on the edge. And I was like, I am kicking. She's like, go harder. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna hurt the horse.
Yeah.
It was literally, and Tyler was behind me the entire time. And his horses, I can't remember my horse's name, but your horse's name was Blaze.
Yeah, and they said that he was the worst behaved horse.
Yes.
And like he walked a straight line for me.
I thought he was up my horse's butthole.
Well, he was, but he walked a straight line, but whenever because your horse kept swerving in and out, and every time he got in front of him, he like sped up to get up he's like, get out my way, dude. But yeah, no, like he walked straight in the middle of the path for me the whole time.
I would love to go horseback riding again. It was really fun.
I want Blaze again.
No, not in Tennessee, on flat land.
Blaze is mine.
I want flat land. I don't want to do it on the side of a mountain again. But that was our honeymoon. We did a lot of sightseeing. We did I do want to go back to Tennessee. They have a mountainside roller coaster, which is super fun. So I want to do that. But for the most part, we did a lot of touristy things, which was fine with us. We did some shopping. We went to Bubba Gump.
Oh yeah, Bubba Gump.
We went there. I mean, Paula Dean's. We went to do a lot of those, and people are right though. It looks like the Strip in South Carolina.
It's basically Myrtle Beach for the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to go back to do a couple of other things. The Titanic Museum is there, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I will do that when we go next time.
100%.
Now this leads us into 2021. Where'd we go in 2021, Tyler?
A little place we like to call Virginia.
Where we're at now?
Yeah, where we ended up about 4 years later.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gracie hated this place. We went to Williamsburg, which was historic.
I probably would have liked it now, but when we went, you weren't drinking.
Right.
I don't drink like that.
Right.
And so my boss at the time was actually from this area.
Right.
And she was telling me like,
you were at the spa, right?
No. I was at Miller Mott in 2020.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you were at Miller Mott in 2020 because one of your bosses had quit.
Yeah. So I was there, and she was like, there's a lot of breweries to go to. Like, that's really the big thing that Williamsburg has to offer.
Right.
And that just wasn't for us. So we did two really, really cool things there.
Yeah. Busch Gardens was fun. Like we mentioned,
Adrenaline junkie.
yeah, adrenaline junkie. So we like rode all the roller coasters and enjoyed some carnival or some amusement park food. But I think the coolest thing we did was the Science Museum of Virginia.
Yeah.
Especially since the weekend that we were there, they did or the time we were there, they were doing a mental health exhibit. So it was really cool. I mean, if you know me, you know I'm a mental health advocate.
Yeah.
And especially back in 2021, I was doing a lot of mental health advocacy, and it was a really cool experience for me.
100%. They had something called a worry shredder. And so you wrote down a worry that you had and you just didn't show it to anybody and you just put it in the little slot and you shredded it up. And it was kind of like a relief. And we actually, for the first time, that was in 2021, mind you, it is 2025. Just this month in January, we finally told each other what each of our worries were.
Do you want to tell yours?
At the time in 2021, well, actually August 15th, 2020.
Yeah.
That was our wedding date. I'd stopped taking birth control and we were officially trying for a kid. And it still hadn't happened by the time we hit 2021, which was fine. Like, that's fine. But that was what was on my worry shredder was I put that I wanted to get pregnant.
Yes. And I put that I wanted to stop having financial issues.
Yeah.
And neither one of those things happened for us. Just
saying. That was hilarious. I mean, we're getting better financially.
Yeah.
Some things we'll talk about them in a later episode,
Yeah.
but we will definitely get into the nitty-gritty of things like that. We're not scared to. We don't care about that. But we're getting into a really good place, and both of us, I truly believe, are mentally in a good place about babies.
Yeah.
Where we're at with that, we love traveling, we love our life together, and as much as I think both of us wouldn't mind having a baby, it's not something that's like
It's not priority.
we're gonna force.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with that, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, yeah. It was tough for both of us going through that.
Oh God. I commend you if you've done it for, I mean, we did it for 3 years, 2 years, 3 years.
I mean, technically we've done it for 5 years because we never really stopped trying.
I guess that's
more of
true.
we stopped going intense.
Yeah, and taking medicine and going by regimen and
Right,
stuff like
right.
that. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. We're good.
Yeah.
Like him and I are happy together. And honestly, if I can tell you couple to couple, like married couple to married couple, if you've been trying for a really long time, one, I'm so sorry. I commend you. We'll talk about more of this in a later date, but I want you to say that it's I hope that it's easier having a partner that supports you and you guys have the same
You hope it's
view on it.
easier?
Yeah, like I hope for them that
I
it's
feel like I
easier.
was that for you.
You were.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just want to make sure. I thought you
to them.
I thought you meant like I hope you
No,
have a partner who's
no.
supportive, as if
Like,
I wasn't. I was like, whoa.
I have that experience where I had somebody that was very supportive. So
Yeah. And she was supportive of me too. I mean, that's the thing. Like it's a two-way street. You've got to be there for each other. Because it is hard.
But we digress. That will
Yes.
be on a different episode.
Yeah.
So leading in to 2022, we went to Fayetteville, West Virginia. This actually coincided with our New Year's annual trip that we're starting to take with some family. So
With
super fun.
Mike, your daddy.
Yeah.
Destiny, your sister, and Zane. Love Zane. Oh my
Your
God.
best friend.
Yes, Zane. If you're listening to this, I love you. But yeah, we and then we had a new addition this year, but
we'll talk about that later too. So it was the coolest little small town in America.
That's what they said.
That's what
I mean,
they
and
said.
it was though.
It was very cute.
Wait, can we back up to Virginia, to Williamsburg? Because I gotta say something. That restaurant we went to was extremely racist.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. So because Williamsburg is very historic, a lot of their restaurants are based off of like presidential stuff.
Right, colonial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went to this cute little, it was very country-ish.
Yeah.
Esque. and the attire for your employees were like colonial.
Right.
That's what they wore. Well, I'll say this because I feel like I can be a little.
I'll say
Are
it.
you sure?
There was one person of color working there. She was wearing a completely different outfit than everybody else. Like it looked like a slave outfit, like what you see
It
in
did. It was very drab and dark, and everybody else was in whites and blues
right.
and stuff. And
And
I was
hers was
like,
like kind of ratty.
yeah, I
And it was
agree.
like I was like, I
Tyler
feel like
pointed it out, and I was
yeah.
like, oh God.
I was like, I feel like that's not kosher. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
racist.
yeah. It was very awkward to say the least. Because wasn't she?
She
Was
was
she
our
ours?
waitress. Yeah, 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 she was.
We left her a tip
We
to
left her
kill
a massive tip. I
because
think we
we
left her
felt
like
awkward.
20
That's
bucks.
the white guilt coming in hard
Oh my
clutch.
God.
Like,
Yes, yes. No,
um,
like that was just wrong. Anyway,
no, I agree.
let's fast forward past the racist
Yeah,
restaurant.
sorry. So, Fayetteville, West Virginia, coolest small town in America. It had really cool breweries.
Yeah.
We went to a few.
And that was kind of like, I one thing, if you know me, I love craft breweries. I like trying craft beer. I'm just a big fan of it.
2022 is when you got back into
Right,
it.
right. And because 2022 was when me and Matt started Back Porch Parlay,
Yeah.
which Matt, if you're listening to this, we need to get that back up.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
He
one
doesn't
of
have the time to do that anymore. He's got a new podcast best friend.
ooh, she's calling you out, Matt. Anyway, um, so my favorite brewery was a little place called and I think it was your favorite brewery too. It was called Gad Dam,
Yeah.
not God, Gad. It's a
GAD.
beaver.
Yeah.
And it was a coffee and beer place.
Yeah. The coffee was phenomenal.
Yeah, the beer, they actually only had like one on tap because they were getting the rest in. But yeah, it was really cool. It was laid back. We actually met the owners while we were there.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
mainly your dad because he talks to everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met them and they had just opened it a couple weeks ago. But it was a really, really cool place. Very relaxed. And they had homemade desserts and they had that homemade cheesecake that they were sold out of when we got there.
I do remember that.
And then the other one we went to was called Free Folk. Um, Parking here sucked.
Oh
Remember, it
my
was on the side of that
gosh.
busy highway, and like
Yes.
they had a not really a highway, but like a mountain road, like a busy mountain road, and they had like four spots on their side of the highway, the road, and then they had like a parking lot on the other side. So you had to like sit there and try to cross the road, and it was annoying. And
Yeah.
I mean, the place was really cool. Like
It was
that,
very small, which is fine,
yeah,
but it was New Year's, so
it
January
was
in
cold.
West Virginia. It was
Yeah.
cold.
So we couldn't really sit outside, but
But I bet you that because they have like a cute little amphitheater, that's where they use their
yeah,
parking lot space
yeah,
for that outside space. But I bet you it's so cool there when it's
yeah.
warm.
But me and Zane actually had that Mexican style lager while we were there.
That's right, I
Yep, yep.
remember
And
that.
that was my favorite beer on that trip.
Yep.
Well, besides the pecan porter that I got from the gas station.
I don't remember that, but that's okay.
Yeah, I do because
We
me and
spent
Matt did a beer review on it.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We spent a lot of our time in that trip, because it was with family. We spent a lot of it pretty much inside the Airbnb where we were hanging out at, which is fine. You'll start to learn when we travel with family, and it's not just myself and Tyler. A lot of times we don't do a whole bunch. And a lot of that has to do with financials because we still want to travel, but we balling on a budget.
Right.
But if it's not due to that, sometimes our likes aren't everybody's likes, which is very frequent.
Yeah.
So we typically stay kind of closer to everybody on what everybody would like to do. Which is totally fine. We agree to that when we, go on those trips. But that ends our 2022 trip. And that brings us to 2023, which is where we pretty much started this insane life we live now.
Yeah. And we went into that in the first episode and talked about 2024 in the second episode. So that leads us to the end of episode 3. And if you're still here, I appreciate you. Yeah, this I hope this episode is a good start to the month of love. Talking about our basically our anniversary vacations. And just where our love for traveling started off. Um, next week or next episode, though, we will be talking about.
Do-dos and don'ts.
Ooh, that was Gracie.
I
Gracie
hope
came
you
up with
like that
name.
title. I thought it was funny.
It is so funny. I love it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. It'll be more of like the RV do's and don'ts, what's happened on our trips, tips, tricks, things like that, that hopefully we can help other RVers and travelers kind of go through, because it's not all RV.
Yeah.
Like not all of it.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you're not like a traveler or an RV person, tune in. There's some funny stories,
Yeah.
some good stories, some sad stories.
The title is do and don'ts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Come on. You got to tune in. Well, now that we're ending on doo-doo, we love you.
So much.
Who lives in RV, traveling estates, adventure with coffee, driving dink all over the place, adventure with coffee, with 3 pups who are cuddly as can be, adventure with coffee, the happiest little traveling family, adventure with coffee, adventure with coffee, adventure with coffee, adventure with coffee. Until next time.